Welcome to Everyday Coding. This video series is basically for SQL Server, people who are work on SQL Server as a backend database. In this video, we are learn how to install SQL Server 2022. So first, we have to know what is SQL Server. Microsoft SQL Server is a relational database management system developed by Microsoft. As a database server, it is a software product with primary functionality of storing and retrieving data as requested by other software application. For example, if you are work on any .NET based application, any Windows based application or web form based application, or if you are using any scripting language type application, for example, Angular or React.js, in those cases, if you have to retrieve some data in those scenarios, we are use this application, that is SQL Server. Okay. For managing and maintaining any SQL Server information, we are using another piece of application. The name of this application is SQL Server Management Studio. Okay. So this SQL Server has some different editions: Enterprise Edition, Standard Edition, Web Edition, Developer Edition, and Express Edition. In those versions, Enterprise Edition is a premium edition. The another edition is Standard Edition. SQL Server Standard Edition is deliver a basic data management and business intelligence database for department and small organization to run their application, and supports common development tools for a on-premises and cloud. And the third edition is Web Edition. This is completely we are accessing through web browser. That is SQL Server Web Edition is a low cost of ownership options for web hosters. And the fourth edition is Developer Edition. SQL Server Developer Edition lets developer build any kind of application in the top of SQL Server. It's including all the functionality of Enterprise Edition, just like a Premium Edition, but it is licensed for use for development purpose only. We are not used as a production version of database. And the fourth option is Express Edition, and it's ideal for learning and building desktop and small server data driven application. It is a best choice for independent software vendors. For example, if you are using Visual Studio as a development platform, you can integrate this Express Edition in your Visual Studio. The next slide is how to install SQL Server 2022 Developer Edition. So here is the download link of SQL Server. When you are click on this download link, this piece of application will be downloaded. Obviously, this is a installer. When you click on this black pop-up window will be pop up. In this black pop-up window, we can see three options: basic, custom, and download media. So we have to click on this basic option. Next slide, when you click on basic option, you can see it's asking for installation location. You can specify any path in your hard disks, and it is showing minimum fees place and download size. Obviously, at the time when you installing this application, and parallelly download is also happening in between. Okay. The next slide, you can see this is a developer edition. This is a small license agreement. We have to click on accept button. After next, you can see some packages are downloaded immediately. Next screen, you can see this is another pop-up. There is in the left hand side, you can see some options: planning, installations, maintenance, tools. So planning is almost done. Now you have to click on installation option. So when you are click on installation option, you can see there is an option new SQL Server standalone installations or add features to an existing installation. If you are already installed SQL Server in your machine, in that case, this option is useful for you. Also, when you are doing to fresh installation, in that case, this option is useful for you. Okay. So click on this hyperlink option. There is some options. There is a free edition. Obviously, developer is a free edition, but only for development purpose, not for production. By default, this radio button will be checked it and click on next. You can see before it install in your system, it checks some predefined options. For example, machine learning server feature supports consistency validations of SQL Server registry keys, computer domains controller, Windows firewall, and also the framework version. If all are passed in this moment, then you can continue to installing this SQL Server. Okay. Next slide, you can see there is an option Azure extension for SQL Server. So keep this blank, not required right now. In this pop-up, you can see some checklist. Those checklists are necessary basis if those are required for your end or not. In my opinion, you can select all the options. We have to install all the features of SQL Server. So checked all the check boxes, and there is an option select all. If you click on select all button, then all checkboxes are checked it and click on next. After that, there is a instance. We have to create instance by which your SQL Server will access in your system. The instance name is by default SQL 2022. Okay, you can put any name as you want. After that, click on next. You can see there is a some services are available in SQL Server. SQL Server Agent, SQL Server Database Engine, SQL Server Analysis Service, SQL Server Integration Services, and SQL Server Browser. Those features are also included in SQL Server in previously, not in 2022 features. Click on next. There is an option as asking for authentication mode of SQL Server. Whenever you log into your SQL Server application, so what type of authentication you want? This is a Windows authentication mode or mixed mode of authentication. Windows authentication mode means whenever you are opening or logging your SQL Server in your system, it will check the credential of your Windows. And mixed mode authentication means SQL Server authentication and also Windows authentication. So that means SQL Server has own username and passwords. And the another one is Windows authentication. So both are working whenever you checked on this radio button, mixed mode of authentication. And after that, click on add current user. So whenever you click on add current user, this particular current user is currently logging on Windows, this name will be appear in this section. Okay. After that, click on next. Now you can see there is a server mode. There is a two mode, multidimensional mode and tabular mode. So click on tabular mode and same thing as previous page, add current user. That means currently login Windows users name will be appear in this section. Click on next. Now it is ready to install in your system, but before it install, it's showing some summary options. For example, edition is developer, action is install, prerequisites are some or application is already installed in my system. Some features are need to be installed your system. Where this so application is installed in your hard disk, all the informations are displayed in this section. Just click on install button. After that, it will take 5 to 10 minutes and we have to wait until this installation will be finished. After finishing our installation, computer asking for restart. That means all the features of SQL Server, for example, database engine services, analysis services, SQL browser, SQL writer, integration services, and setup support files. If all features are installed successfully, so click on OK and system will restart immediately. Okay. Now your SQL Server is completely installed in your system. But if you want to access your SQL Server engine in your system, I previously told you we have to install SQL Server Management Studio. Okay. So here is the download link. So when you are click on this link, you can see in this page, there is the option download SSMS. So click on this hyperlink. At the time of video recording, the current version of SSMS is 19.1. So download will continue. You can see in my browser. Okay. So it will take 4 to 5 minutes to download. After finishing this download, when you are click on this exe file, you can see this kind of pop-up, that is Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. So just click on install button. After installation of SSMS, click on search and type SSMS, or you can type SQL Server Management Studio 19. Just click on this application. This application used as an agent of SQL Server engine. Whenever this application is launched, we can see this kind of pop-up will be appear. That is a SQL Server. This is basically how you can connect your SQL Server. I previously told you we are accessing database engine through SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio, and the server name is Rajdeep. So my computer username is Rajdeep. My SQL Server Management Studio automatically take my username as a server name. And the third option is authentication. Authentication means here it is automatically select Windows authentication. So whenever you click on this drop down, you can see there is a lot of other authentication options are also available. SQL Server authentication, Windows authentication. At the time when you are installing SQL Server, we are selecting mixed mode of authentication. That means Windows authentication and SQL Server authentications. And those are options are available for whenever you are using clouds, Azure clouds. In those scenarios, those options are useful for your end. Okay. So you can use Windows authentication and click on connect. After established a connection, you can see there is the left hand side, some folder based icons are available. This is a basically database, and within a database you can see some system database are also available here, and those are user created database. For example, bike stores, DW configuration, DW diagnosis, DW queues. Those database I have created in my SQL Server. So when you are click on this database, within a database you can see some database objects. Those are tables. And whenever you are creating any view, you can see in this viewer section, or whenever you create any stored procedure or any function or any other database objects, those stored procedures and those functions are in this categories. So the main objectives of this video is how to install SQL Server in your system and how to access SQL Server database engine through SQL Server Management Studio. I hope you like this video. So if you have any query regarding this video, if you are facing any issue during installation process, you can feel free to comment to me. My name is Rajdeep Sharkar and this is my YouTube channel. The name of this channel is Everyday Decoding.